Hello everyone, I'm Melanie Young from Raising Real Men and Craftsman Crate. The holidays are my favorite time of year. I love the excitement of decorating and being with family and the special food. Hal and I decided a long time ago that we wanted the holidays to be a time that we would build memories with our kids that would attract their hearts toward home. So one of the things that we've always loved to do is to decorate in Williamsburg style. Now, in the colonial days, people couldn't just order a wreath from online, obviously. And so what they did is they used natural things in their community to make decorations. They made spectacularly beautiful, classy decorations. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use trimmings from Christmas trees to make a wreath and to make a garland to go over the end of our porch here, okay? Now, the cheapest way to do this is to go to Lowe's or some other place that sells Christmas trees on a Saturday afternoon and say, hey, can I have your tree trimmings? Because when people buy a tree, they'll get it trimmed, get the last couple of branches trimmed off so that it fits into their tree stand. And most places will give you those for free. And so that's a great way to get free, perfect greenery to do this. You can also go collect it from trees in the woods, but it's really low stress to go and get tree trimmings from a place that sells Christmas trees. Take your own garbage bags to collect them. What you will also need is gloves, because pine trees and evergreen trees of all kinds have very, very sticky sap. It's tar and pitch. Remember that they used to rub on the outside of ships to keep them from leaking, and so it's super sticky and it's really hard to get off things. And so you want to get some gloves for you and your kids. You also want to get a cheap plastic tablecloth. I think we paid $1 for this one, and it's great to do it out on a porch or something so you don't get it in your house. So cover your work surface with a cheap tablecloth. Get some gloves, and kids love to do this because working with the natural stuff, I don't know, is a whole lot more appealing to them than dealing with a bunch of sticky, artificial stuff. So what you want to do first is you want to look for some long, straight branches. Some thick, reasonably thick ones. So like this, all right? And we're gonna connect them together to make the base. You don't even have to have a wreath form. I don't use one. I used to, and I realized I couldn't make the wreath the right size that I wanted since I didn't have a wreath form, so I decided to make my own wreath form out of the tree. So you're going to need that. You're going to need some floral wire, and you can use gold. I love gold. Or you can use green so it blends in and you can't see it, or black. And let's see if we can see what, this is 26 gauge. The gold is 22 gauge. Anything that 22 to 26 gauge is going to be fine. And where are my nippers? You're going to want some nippers. Okay, and something to cut your wire with. And if you're a horrible person like me, y'all can just cut your wires with your nippers. That's really bad for them. It makes them dull. You can also swipe out of your husband's or your toolbox some wire nippers that have a wire cutter placed down at the bottom. So you need something to cut the wire. You're going to need some thick ribbon to go at the bottom. And you're going to need some fruit. Now, I just happen to have oranges today, so I'm going to use oranges. I like to use limes and lemons. Apples are really beautiful, especially if you can get a really bright apple. Dark red apple it seems to fade into the greenery. You don't see any bright red. And the fruit adds color and richness, and it's traditional. So let's get started. First, I'm going to get my wire going. And I'm doing this all live. This is not pre-prep where I'm going to show you what I made later. We're doing this live so that you can see how long it takes and what's involved. Now I'm not going to clip the wire off yet, okay? I'm going to get, about a foot and a half loose. I'm going to take two of the fairly straight branches, and I'm going to overlap them some, maybe about halfway, okay? I'm going to start up here where it overlapped. I'm going to wrap the wire around. And it's all right if you squeeze some of the greenery down because this is kind of the base. Okay, it's not going to show very much. So I'm going to keep going and just wrapping it around and around until I get to where the bottom of where these are overlapped. And again, don't be afraid to stick the little branches down because that's just going to give more heft here to the base, okay? And your goal right now is to make a base. This is not the pretty part. So now I'm at the bottom where the bottom of this one is. I'm going to look for another one to add to it. Pretty good size branch. That looks good. And I'm going to start where the other one ended and add another branch. I'm going to keep them going the same way though, so top's all the same direction, okay? I'm going to start winding this and adding this in. Now once I get about 3 of them, I'm going to think, whoa, how big do I want this thing to be? All right. And I'm going to bend it around to see what kind of size circle I have. That looks pretty big, but when you put it together, that's not big enough. We need another one. So I'm going to add another branch. I'm going to overlap again some. So that I'm building up a nice strong base for my wreath. And I'm going to test it, see is that big enough? Not quite. Let's add another one. Something strong. Huh? I know, but my mic's right here. Are you having any trouble hearing me? If you are, then let me know, okay? But I've got the mic lying down on the table because it's a little hard to balance here. I need another straight branch. Oh. When you're pulling branches, could you cut a couple of these off for me? When you're pulling branches off the bottom of the tree, occasionally you'll pull one off that just is beautiful. And it has a beautiful fan shape. And that's a great thing that you can, it's a very simple decoration. Here's a really pretty one. It's just a really pretty fan shape. And you can put that up on the back of your piano or on top of your bookcase or even behind a picture frame. And that makes a really easy decoration that is zero work. Okay. All right, if you got another straight chunky piece for me, that one will be good. Okay. If you don't have any that look really strong enough, you can take one like this and mash it together and make it stronger. Okay, that's what I'm going to do with this one. And so I'm continuing to wrap, and then I'm thinking, this is probably going to be about the size that I want. Now, you may notice that what I've got here is a garland, okay? So if you're going to make a garland, it starts the exact same way. But for a wreath, I'm going to bend this back and overlap. And you're thinking, wait, that's a weird shape. Don't worry, you're going to get it. You're going to get it right. And then I'm going to keep wrapping. And get it tightly connected here. Just up. Hand that to me, hon. So this is going to be the foundation for our wreath. And you want any sticking out parts to be strapped down with your wire pretty tight. This is basically your wreath form. And what do you do next? Okay, next you're going to add the foliage to the wreath. And I'm going to start down here where it's skinny. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather a bundle of small sprigs and a handful like this, okay? I'm just going to grab it by the bottom. And I'm going to lay it on top of the wreath here. You see this? And then I'm going to wire it down. Go around a couple of 3 times. So I'm going to get another bundle. And if you see any that's brown or it just doesn't look good, just throw it aside, okay? But you're going to get another bundle of stuff here. A little fistful. And this time, I'm going to lay it on top, just slightly overlapping on top of the last bundle. Okay? Now, don't worry about it being perfect at this point. It's really lightweight wire and I keep dropping it. I think next time I'm going to use a heavier gauge one. Let's see. You're not going to worry about it being perfect at this point because you're a long way from finished, okay? And don't worry at all about the bottoms of each bundle looking perfect because you're going to cover those up, okay? So I go around several times. I start a new bundle. Can you gather some bundles together for me, sweetheart? That'll make it a little faster for these poor people who are having to watch me. That's cool. Maybe one more in here. And you'll figure it out. You know, you'll figure out about how much you want in each one. Now this one, I've got one piece that's just way longer than the others. I'm just gonna, can you cut him right here? Okay, I'm just gonna cut him off. Put another piece there at the edge where he was cut, okay? And you want to keep going the same direction. You want all your tops to be pointing the same direction. And just lay the top of each new bundle on top of the bottom of the old bundle. Thank you. And while I'm continuing this, let's talk for a minute. We are super busy right now. As you may know, we have a lot of Christmas giftable stuff. If you have a branch that just seems to stick out a weird direction, feel free just to strap it down with the wire. And that way it'll add to the fluff, but it won't be sticking out over to the side or something. Perfect. Another little bundle. And I'm laying it right on top of the bottom of the last bundle. I'll turn this around just a second so you can see what it looks like now. And any like ends and pieces that are sticking out from like the base, I've got a little bit of wood here sticking out. I'm just gonna tightly strap down. Now notice I haven't cut the wire at all yet. The wire's just going around. So see, I have the top part of the wreath added and the bottom not yet. And I've got a few pieces I'm thinking, oh, I don't know. Some of them you're going to bend down, some you may come back with a little wire and strap them down. There's some more that we can make bundles out of. So what are we doing right now? We are packing Craftsman Crate. This month's Craftsman Crate is really cool. New subscribers are going to get the wood burning set, and one of our daughters used one of our patterns this year and won first place at the state fair with her wood burning. And the continuing subscribers this month are getting stained glass. It's a faux stained glass that you can make very inexpensively without having to, solder lead. And we've got some gorgeous patterns I'm really excited about. There's a cardinal and holly and hummingbird. It's really pretty. While we're doing this, if you have any questions about Craftsman Crate or any other things we're doing, I'm glad to answer your questions too. Craftsman Crate is our subscription box. I guess I just assumed you all know that. It comes every month and teaches a new hobby every month. And so kids or adults, we have elderly subscribers, learn how to do new things every month. And it's all sorts of things from soapstone carving to basketry and wood carving and wood burning and mosaics and globe making and all kinds of stuff. We're also sending out a lot of rubber band guns and audiobooks. And our character building audiobook library is on sale right now. If you want to find our holiday sales, you can go to raisingrealmen.com/holiday2021. making really good progress. We're about 3/4 of the way around this wreath. Hold it up so you can see what we've got so far. Isn't it pretty? It smells heavenly. It smells so good. We're going to add another little bundle of greenery. And again, just place the old bundle on top of the bottom of the new bundle on top of the bottom of the old bundle. So that everything's going the same direction. That's what keeps it from looking all weird. That's what keeps it looking natural, because ideally a wreath should look kind of like a garland that's biting its tail. This should be a garland that goes all the way around. Now, if you'll see here, I had a piece of wood just kind of sticking up, and I just grabbed it tight with the wire and pulled it down flat. Okay, we're almost done with the wreath. Just have a few more bundles to put on here. Now you may be thinking, okay, well, what do I do when I get around to where I started? What you're going to do when you get around to where you started is you're going to lift up the top of that very first bundle you put on, and you're going to wire the bottom of the last bundle there. I think we've got one more before we get there, though. Okay, got a bundle for me? Almost, you're almost back there. And then I'll show you how to attach the fruit. It smells so good. Yes, I think one more bundle will do it. So I'll lift up the first bundle that I put on there, and I slide the last bundle up under it, and then wire it down. Ah! I need to wrap this back up a little bit so I handle it. I'm going to wire it under the top bundle, making sure that you don't wire that top bundle down. The very first bundle, you still want it to be fluffy and sticking out. All right. Now, when I get that much done, what I want to do is I want to find a piece of wood on the back and wrap this wire round and round it so that it is tied off and won't come loose. And I tied, where's the wire clippers? I'm going to tie the wire to the wire. Just a second. So I'm going to stick the wire underneath the wire that came from the front. And this is pretty durable, so don't worry about handling it, okay? And then tighten it, and then around this little branch to make sure it stays put. Now, we have a wreath. And what you're going to do is you're going to go around and shape it, okay? See what the shape looks like. Adjust it anywhere that needs to be adjusted. If you think, oh, that needs some more greenery there, you can stick more greenery in and wire it down. But it makes a wreath that just smells. And the thing about it is it's going to smell great down your front door all the time. Every time you come in or out the front door, you're going to smell that amazing evergreen smell. So let's talk about how to add fruit. Now, where's that gold wire I had? Because that's a little bit stiffer. Do y'all see it? Ah, okay. So to add fruit, you're going to need wire about, I like to make about an 18-inch piece, okay? Now, the 22 gauge wire works better for this than the 26 gauge, but the 26 gauge will work, okay? So just go to the store and buy floor wire. Now what you want to do though is you want to get the end of it completely straight for about 6 inches, and you're going to have to work at it a little bit with your fingers to straighten it. If it bends at all, it won't go through the fruit properly. So I'm working to get it straight as possible, and particularly the end. Okay, so straight piece of wire. I'll put it down here. You can see it against my shirt. And then get your fruit, and then hold the wire close to the end, like 1 inch from the end. And you're going to just poke it into the fruit, and then feed it in, and it's going to come out the other side. Magic! Isn't that cool? And then you take the fruit, and you find where on your wreath you want to put it, and then you just stick the wire down through the branches and around to the back, and twist the wire on the back to hold it on. And so it really is as easy as all that. You'll see on houses in Williamsburg that not only do they put fruit on the wreaths like this, but they also put fruit in plaques over the door and over the front of the porch and places like that. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. So see, you attach the fruit like that. And it's beautiful. And you may think, would it go bad? It's cool enough in the winter, even here in North Carolina, that the fruit will be good for probably 6 weeks. If you live in a really hot place, like we used to live in Louisiana, you might need to replace it sooner than that. But again, it's so easy to do. You just take your wire clippers and clip the wire on either side of the fruit, put a piece of wire through a new piece of fruit, and strap it in its place. It's really super easy. Now, let's talk about ribbon. Okay, no, I was going to talk about plaques. So let's say you wanted a triangular shaped plaque over your door fruit. So what you would do is you get a triangular shaped piece of wood, and then stick 10-penny nails in it. And where you want the fruit, you could do a pineapple in the middle, and then oranges along the bottom, and then apples above that in a pyramid shape, and you just slide the fruit onto the nails, and it will stay there. And you just gently put it up over your door, and it will be fine there all winter. Until after Christmas is over. So let's see, I might have to take my gloves off to do this. Probably so. Could you get me a pair of scissors from inside? A lot of people get really anxious about tying bows, but it's not that hard, especially if you're making a big bow. Big bows are way easier than small bows. But small bows, you have to be very precise. If it has 2 loops, those loops have got to be perfect. But if it has a bunch of loops, then they can go every which way, okay? So first of all, don't worry about the tails yet. You're going to add the tails later, okay? First, you're going to worry about the loops. So you're going to gather your ribbon and figure out about how big you want your bow to be. I recommend a great big bow. And I'm going to just basically fold it over, leave enough tail at the end that it can be gripped. I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to make a bunch of loops here. Is that going to be big enough, do you think? Let's make it bigger. And we're going to fold it, just keep folding it over in loops like this. Susie, how many loops do you think we need on each side?
I would say at least 6.
Yeah, you want a whole bunch of loops. You know, don't try to save money on ribbon. You'll just make it look awkward and sad. The more ribbon, the better. Okay, that's 6 on this side, 6 on this side. All right, so cut it off right about there, okay? Now, what you're going to do is take florist wire, all right? And cut me about a 12-inch piece here, okay? Oh, sorry. And see, get your kids involved. Okay, I'm going to pinch it in the middle with florist wire. Now, you want to really pinch it. Don't try to be perfect here. You want it to fold up on itself, okay? Because the more folded it is and the more mushed together in the middle, the prettier bow it's going to make. Now, I am not at all artistic. Susanna over there, she's artistic. I am not. So if I can do this, I know you can do this. Now, I've got it here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out every which way, like opposite ways. All right? And I'm going to pull Now, if you struggle with this, if you're really paranoid, get some French ribbon. French ribbon has wire in it. It's called wire ribbon some places. And the wire in it will help you to adjust it and it stay that way. You want to do this one between the tails and adjust that so it poofs out.
You want it sideways or forward?
Forward, if you can turn it down. Yeah. Then we're going to take the, to make the tails, we're going to take a long piece, at least 3 feet. Fold it in half, and I'm going to cut the corners at an angle. And that's going to be much prettier when it's hanging. And I'm going to take a little bit of wire. And tie it around here, right here at the fold. I'm going to use that to attach it to the bottom of the bow. Now, if you want to make a garland, and I love a really pretty garland, you make it the same way that you make the wreath, but there's a couple of things you want to change up. Okay, for garland, what you want to look for, better put my gloves back on. Yes, perfect. If you want a thin garland, you want a bunch of long pieces like this, and you're just going to take the wire and attach the top of one to the bottom of the other, like this. Okay. If you want a fatter garland, you overlap more, and so that you have more foliage. You can add little bundles too if you want. Let's say I want a very full garland, I'm going to add some bundles when I strap it together, okay? But you start and you keep going, everything pointing the same way, and you're going to think that looks weird, but it's not. It's going to be perfect. Everything going the same way, just one long continuous wrap of wire, adding new pieces, the bottom to the top to the bottom, until you get it as long as you want it to be. Now, it's got to be longer than the length between your pillars in the front, okay? Because you want it to droop down some. And so you want to add a couple extra feet so it can droop down some, and then you want some hanging down the sides too. And so you might want to stop and measure and see, does this fit? Does this work? And maybe I'm going to add more. When you get to the very end though, you got a long garland and you're stuck with the ugly end. What you're going to do at the very end is you're going to get a very pretty piece, a nice fluffy piece. Let me put a pretty fluffy piece. Don't have any up here. Oh. Let's see. That's a long tool. When you get to the end, then you want a piece that has a pretty end on it, okay? And you just turn it the other way, and this is the one piece that you won't put going the same way. And the last piece in your garland, you'll turn the other way so that it has a pretty end on it. And that is really, really gorgeous. So we've got our ribbon here ready, and we're going to attach the ribbon with wire to the bottom of the wreath. You can build yours on the top if you like. Another thing you can do when you're with the same skills is make a garland. Again, it's just like making the wreath. You just take a piece and you add a new piece going the same direction. So the top of this one is at the end of that one. And make a garland about as long as your dining room table. And then make a large S shape of garland on your dining room table. So it kind of swirls. And if your table is long enough, you might be able to get two S shapes. Put a centerpiece in the middle. We have a German pyramid that we got that has the Christmas scene, and it turns when you light the candles and everything. It's really cool. We use that for centerpiece. You can also build up in the middle, like use okay. So what we're going to do, got the ribbon, is we're going to put the tail, attach the tail here, and then I'm going to bring the tail, and bring one side of the tail around so it forms the center of the back, okay? And that way the tails will be different lengths, which is prettier too, okay? And that makes the center of the bow. And then you use all this wire to attach it to the wreath. Very pretty and easy. When you hang your garland on your porch, every time all you need to loop it is some great big 10-penny nails. Just nail those in the corners where you want to loop the garland. Loop the garland over the nails, and then hang a bow at each nail. And if you only have one loop, then put two bows. Now, if you want to have it loop up and then loop again, if you have a really wide porch, then put a bow at each nail that you loop it, okay? Another way to do your table is you can, for the centerpiece, is you can use a Christmas tin or something in the middle and cover it with fruit and foliage. You can also use the garlands like that to make little tiny wreaths to put in your window, or to make a mantelpiece wreath. Here's a little tiny wreath made by my 12-year-old, and she took just some foliage, made it the same way that I did, but much smaller, and she took holly leaves and spray painted them gold. It's beautiful. It's perfect. You could put a little bow in the middle too to add a little extra color. So I hope you have enjoyed watching how to make Williamsburg-style decorations using free and cheap stuff. You can use pine cones, foliage, any place in your house that you want to hide. You can get those fans from the bottom of the tree, like we talked about, and put it right there like a screen in front of anything you want to hide in your house, like your stack of school books. But be free with pine cones, and you can spray paint them gold, or you can leave them alone. You got gold. See, isn't that pretty? You can use pine cones, fruit, foliage. Just enjoy it. My kids love decorating like this, and we do too. It smells good. It looks good. It looks super classy and rich, even though you spend nothing using it. The wire cost what? $2 or $3? The ribbon a couple of dollars, and I'll post pictures of the finished product later. Please check out our gifts. We have things for guys and girls and all ages. Craftsman Crate, our subscription box that builds your skills. It teaches artisanal skills using real tools and in totally complete projects. No trips to the store. It has everything you need. You can find that at craftsmancrate.com. You can find all of our stuff at raisingrealmen.com/shop. Our specials and deals, our audiobooks are up to 50% off. So check it out at raisingrealmen.com/holiday2021. Oh, and our holiday books, Christ-Centered Christmas, Christ-Centered Thanksgiving, Reformation Day, and our Advent devotional. It's called Christ-Centered Advent. It uses the Christmas carols and the verses of the Christmas carols to teach your kids about the Bible and theology. So check all those out. They're all 15% off right now. We've opened up our Black Friday sale early. So go to raisingrealmen.com/holiday2021. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have questions, Post them below, and I'll answer them as I'm able. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may your holiday season point your family to Jesus Christ and make memories that will draw your kids' hearts to home and hopefully through home to heaven. Merry Christmas. Bye, y'all.